What's up guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Savant Smart Audio Soundbar. This setup includes the soundbar, the wireless subwoofer, and the Smart Audio wireless surrounds. So let's get these unboxed and set up and we'll give them a listen. Included with the soundbar, we get some IR extenders, the power cord, a 2.5mm cable, white gloves, documentation, and some mounting hardware. Included with the surround speakers, you get some more documentation, 2 power cords, and the speakers themselves. Included with the subwoofer is more documentation, the power cord, some Phoenix connectors, and the subwoofer, which I have 2 of. They are sold separately though. Taking a closer look at the bar, you'll find 6 3.5-inch mid-range woofers, 3 25mm super audio tweeters, 2 19mm tweeters on each end, and it has a frequency response of 80 Hz to 50K. The soundbar's enclosure is made from extruded black anodized aluminum, so it feels very high quality. Around back, you have an optical digital in, Ethernet, and the integrated Savant Smart Controller with 3 IR and 2 serial outputs. The AC inlet is back here as well. Size-wise, the soundbar measures 4.17 inches high by 53.41 inches wide by 2¼ inches deep, and it weighs 35 pounds, so it should fit nicely with a 65-inch television. As for the wireless surrounds, they're fairly compact, measuring 10.2 inches high by 4.8 inches wide by 4.6 inches deep, and each one weighs 5 pounds. Around back, you'll find only the AC input and some mounting points for the optional stands. The enclosure is made from the same black anodized aluminum, and it's got a glossy top plate on top of each speaker. The subwoofers are made from the same material and house dual opposed 6.5-inch drivers rated from 30 Hz to 160 Hz. They're very small and only measure 10.2 inches high by 8 inches wide by 7.5 inches deep. Each one weighs 19.5 pounds. They have rubber feet on the bottom to keep them from sliding across the floor, and you'll find the connections on the bottom too. Starting from the left is the AC input, volume, low-pass filter, and variable phase knobs, a trigger/IR input, low-pass and power mode toggles, RCA LFE input, LED status indicators, and a little reset button. For setup, I'll be placing the soundbar underneath my TV. I'll be connecting using an optical cable and using the serial connection from the bar to my Sony television for control. The surrounds will be placed on the sides of my seats, and I'll be placing one subwoofer in the front corner and then another one in the opposite rear corner. The only wires you'll have to run are going to be the power cords for each speaker. Now, this system isn't meant to be set up by the end user. It's what Savant calls a do-it-for-me product, meaning you will have to have an installer do it for you. Otherwise, the system won't do anything. However, once everything is installed, you can control the system by using the app on either Android or iOS. One feature that the Savant soundbar has is that it's got an integrated Savant host built in. So all of your smart home equipment like your thermostat, garage door, sprinkler system, lights, etc. can all communicate to the soundbar and in turn be controlled by the Savant app. It's a handy feature and is one less item that you'll need to purchase. Keep in mind that even though the soundbar can be controlled using the app, it doesn't come with a physical remote, so you will be reliant on the app to do anything like change sources or to adjust the volume. This could get a little annoying, but Savant does offer an optional Pro remote. With the remote, you get a rechargeable battery, a USB-C charge cable, and the remote docking station. The remote has a large touchscreen and ergonomically placed buttons. There's also a dedicated voice button to use with Siri. The buttons have a nice high-quality tactile feel, and it feels weighty in the hand. When you're not using the remote, it sits and charges in the docking station. As mentioned with the soundbar, you will have to have this professionally programmed as well, so you can't program it the same way that you would with a Harmony remote. Now, since this is only a temporary review unit, I only have the very basic setup within the app. Therefore, I can't show you things like lighting controls, my cameras, or anything like that. That being said, once you open the app, it'll take you to your main page. For my setup, I have Watch TV, which will turn on my Sony television and go straight to the home screen. I've got Apple TV, which will set the appropriate input on the Sony and launch the Apple TV. And I have music. Here you can add any of your music services like Google Play or Tidal. If you tap on Rooms, you can see that I also have my home theater set up as well, so you're not limited to controlling just one room within the Savant system. Under Scenes is where you can essentially set up macro commands like start the TV, dim the lights, and close the garage door. I don't have anything that elaborate in my place, so I didn't set this up. Keep in mind, anything that you can do in the app, you can also do on the handheld remote. I personally prefer the remote since you don't always have to constantly look down at the screen. For testing, I did a lot of streaming using the Apple TV and the TV's built-in apps. As mentioned, this is a 5.1 setup, so let's check out a couple clips, starting with everyone's favorite Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker. The first thing I noticed with the soundbar is the very good channel separation up front. Having the tweeters set far off towards the edges keeps the highs from mixing together with the center channel. Also, the additional tweeters on the ends of the bar creates a near three-dimensional effect up front, since it's shooting sound outwards. I thought the highs were crisp and detailed, and I thought the bar was neutral sounding. I found having a dedicated center channel made for off-center viewing a much better experience than just having two speakers up front like you'll find on many other soundbars. So dialogue always stayed anchored right underneath my TV. I will say that having the soundbar alone without a subwoofer was actually a lot better sounding than I thought it'd be.
I'll kill you. My boy, I made smoke. I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head.
There's good upper mid-bass presence, so dialogue projects itself very well. Of course, if you're going to watch any kind of movie with special effects, then those subwoofers are a must-have, because you will get zero kinds of low-energy bass from just the soundbar alone. And speaking of the subwoofers, for tiny little cubes, they put out a tremendous amount of bass. I found they blended perfectly with the soundbar and gave a substantial full-range experience. One subwoofer does a good enough job, but having two is really going to make the soundstage bigger and give you smoother coverage overall.
The might of the final order will soon be ready.
The surround speakers do a fantastic job of tying everything together and tonally match the soundbar perfectly. They even have the same weighty upper mid-bass presence, so things like planes flying back to front will transition smoothly. Now for the big negative. At the time of this video, there is no kind of surround upmixing, meaning if you're listening to a two-channel source like, say, a YouTube video that's only in stereo, you're going to hear the system play back in an all-channel mode. For example, if someone is talking, the dialogue is going to come through every one of the speakers, so for the poor guy sitting closest to the surround speaker, he's going to have a very bad time. This might not be a deal breaker for some, but for me, personally, I found it to be super annoying. Other than that, the Savant soundbar does an excellent job with surround sound material. At the time of this video, the Savant Smart Audio Soundbar package retails for $3,000. That's the soundbar, the surround speakers, one subwoofer, and the remote. If you want to add an additional sub, it'll run you an extra $1,000. Now I think not having upmixing of two-channel material is a bummer, but I'm sure they'll address it with a firmware update. Another thing that you might consider when grabbing this bar, since it does operate on your network, if your internet service goes down, you won't be able to control it with either the app or with the Pro remote. I think it would have been nice to have a standard IR remote for basic functions like power on, off, and volume. Another thing I noticed was that the soundbar would sometimes lose connection with my network for whatever reason, so I'd have to unplug and plug the bar back in to get it to respond with the remote or the app. This could be something with my network and not the bar, but I figured I'd mention it anyways. With that said, I found the entire system as a whole to be a wonderful surround sound solution, one in which you don't have to run a ton of wires everywhere. It handled all the movies I threw at it with no issues, and does provide for a near separate speaker type of sound. It's spacious up front, with a solid center channel, and the surround speakers are some of the highest quality, if not the highest quality, WISA certified speakers I've heard. Bass response was killer for some tiny subwoofers, and is a must-have in my opinion. If you're looking for a clean, simple surround sound setup, and you want to incorporate all your smart home appliances in one easy-to-use package, I think the Savant Smart Audio Soundbar might be something you should consider. So tell us your thoughts on soundbars. Are they something that you use in your setup, and how do you think they sound compared to separate speakers? Leave a comment and let us know. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a like if you found it useful, and if you want to support the channel even further, you can also find us on Patreon. Subscribe if you haven't already, and remember, keep listening.